Welcome to Mando and Friends, presented by Verizon. My name is Mando Fresco, and today I am here with the star of Blue Beetle.
Thank you so much.
Rapper slash actor, 50 Cent synonym.
Ah, that's right.
Xolo Maridueña, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Yeah.
You like how I did
I'll put
that?
actor first. Yeah. Once, I suppose once I make the Drake switch, then I'll be rapper slash actor. No, I'm just kidding. But thanks for having
where
me
did
on.
I get that line from?
50 Cent. 50 Cent synonym. That was my Sway freestyle on Sway in the Morning. There were some good gems in there. I really had so much fun. It's like not a medium that I'd ever like announced that I was into, or like nobody has ever. For the longest time, I'd always wanted to be a rapper, but I was like, when is my voice gonna drop? And then I'm so glad that there's been like tons of rappers nowadays who kind of who use their voice in such unique ways. I think Chance was like, growing up, I was like, oh, cool, okay, so you can have a fun voice and rock it as well. So
I used to think I needed like a deep voice for radio.
Oh, okay.
Right, when I was doing radio.
Yeah. Some people do like a more, hey, I mean
but that's like old school radio, right?
So that's funny that you say that, because my mom definitely has a radio voice, and she's Carmelita, and then you speak to her and she's kind of like this. But it definitely is. It helps, especially when you're not seeing someone's face. Like that was, I want to say, for the biggest time, like Madonna, right? They were like, who is this woman? But
it's all in the personality, though. It's all in the
personality.
Yeah, man. Of course. Dude, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
We're all very excited to have you here. And like I said, man, we're talking about that verse. You killed that. I was like, oh, he's nice.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I had to come correct. There was no way that I was going to embarrass myself. And you know, I'm a big fan of hip hop and music in general, and it's a culture and a world that I really appreciate, and that definitely helped raise me. And I just wanted to come in and celebrate it. And
that last line, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Xolo's Instagram page. I'm sure it's on YouTube too.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, he kills this verse. It's like freestyle on Sway in the Morning. Shout out to Sway. And then the last line. So you say.
I say. So we were on Shade 45, and I said, I call it Xolo 45. If you're curious, my initials are XM. Now you know I'm serious.
Woo!
Serious
now you know I'm serious, because it's on Sirius Radio.
Yeah. Actually, this is a 50-minute Genius episode, and I'm going to be breaking down what I meant when I said I want to hit it from the back. What I meant, no. But it was such a fun time, man, but I will say, super different than acting, and a lot of the times people are like, oh, you know, actors, you can do public speaking, or you can,
Right.
But it's not the same.
Yeah.
And especially for the bars on Sway, he said, all right, you know, so let's stop talking. Let's start rapping. And immediately, like, I just saw the black, like, but it was a blast.
That's awesome, dude. So on this show, you know, we talk about everything from how you started to how you fell in love with your craft.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we're just talking a little bit about music, which you love to I think you love to create.
I mean,
right?
it's you know, I'm blessed to come from a family of creatives. My mom from the music side, my pops from the visual arts, the mural side, and myself kind of from this new, like, in front of the camera thing. And I think it really helped in the early years. You know, they wouldn't shy away if I was like, oh, I want to do art. They understood
They're supportive.
Yeah, super supportive. And whether it was like illusory at the beginning, whether I was a terrible artist and they were like, good job, or, you know, whatever, they really kind of helped instill confidence in an early age. And then finally, when it, like, later on, when I was like 10, 11 and wanted to start getting into acting, they were just as supportive and made so many sacrifices. And I think, honestly, had it not been for that, I think I probably would have just like gotten rejected the first couple of auditions and been like, oh, okay, well, that was fun.
And that would have been it. Yeah. What made you fall in love with acting at such a young age, dude?
Well, I honestly, I didn't really fall in love with acting until a few years in. Like, I got into acting because of my love of movies, and you know, I credit like Men in Black and Speed Racer and like a bunch of kids movies that I watched that helped like me imagine, wait a second, there's people that, you know, maybe look like me on screen, maybe I can do this as well. And then, but it really wasn't until Cobra Kai kind of came along that I realized that it was there was no other option. This is what I wanted to do, and I had to do it, and I wanted to, not only play characters that were like myself, but eventually, go on to play characters that weren't like myself, and now here we are today.
Dude,
Mando and Friends.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. How old were you when you started
10.
Cobra Kai?
Cobra Kai, I was a junior in high school. So up until that point, really, I started acting as a means to pay for college. It was a really fun way. I started doing print and commercial, and it was a fun way for me to. I kept doing school, but my mom was like, "Hey, look, if you're interested in doing this, let's try it at the smallest level and see, all right, if this guy can do a Sears ad or something." And then, eventually, slowly but surely, Parenthood came along, and that was my first time, being on a network show and saying lines. But with that one, I was so young. That was like 10 to 13. I was a kid. I was a kid playing a kid. And that's why I say it really wasn't until Cobra Kai that I realized, like, oh, shoot, there's, I can build a character from the ground up. And, it was so rewarding to get to find a character. And a lot of it is also because of the leads on that show. They were so welcoming. I was a 16-year-old kid coming on the show. These guys, Ralph and Billy, were really like, this was the self-actualization of like 30, years of kind of waiting for this reboot to happen. And I was so fortunate that they let me come on.
That is such a massive show.
Yeah, thank you.
And I like you were saying, like, it was such a impactful part of your career. Yeah. What do you think made that show so unique and made it just pop off?
It was the first time that I felt like I was saying earlier that I wasn't a kid on set. Like the creators, Josh, Sean, and Hayden, Billy, Ralph, everyone treated me like I was an adult, and I wasn't an adult, and I had my parents with me. I was a minor for sure. Like it was definitely they didn't have to be as welcoming or as respectful or as encouraging for me to like really spread my wings. But I think, getting to work on that show for 6 years, not only did they help build that confidence, but they showed like, this is how you set the tone. And this is how they were so welcoming. So like the hospitality that they brought was just to a degree that I hadn't seen before. And it rubbed off because, eventually when Blue Beetle came around and it was my turn to be number one on the call sheet, I was like, oh, all right, let's do this. I want to make sure that everyone feels the way that these guys made me feel, like I belonged, not like I fit in, right? But that I was there because I was meant to be there because of
was imposter syndrome ever a thing for you think?
I mean, I feel like I'm dealing with some sort of imposter syndrome all the time. I with Blue Beetle kind of coming around and I think it's hard to wrap my head around, like a lot of the things that are happening right now in my life are firsts for me. And I feel like that's kind of what happens with a lot of these kind of adolescent, child, young adult stars is like you're kind of checking off a lot of these boxes and growing up and going through adolescence in front of everyone. And I've been very fortunate to have a great support group that has helped me kind of get all of this way.
Yeah. So tell me, before you start acting and all that, like you grew up within music. You grew up in Los Angeles.
Yeah, born and raised. El Sereno, not too far from
what part of LA?
El Sereno, right off of Huntington.
El Sereno, okay.
Like right by Huntington.
El Sereno.
El Sereno, yeah. It was El Sereno, not to be confused with Los Feliz or Santa Clarita. But it's funny, I say El Sereno and everyone's like, oh, the car commercial, the Auto Square. I'm like, no, that's Cerritos. Yeah. I'm like, that's the other place. But spent the first 20 years of my life in El Sereno, and now I'm in the SGV, so I'm just like a few cities over. But it feels like home. I'm so fortunate too. Even there's so many kids that grow up in Los Angeles and Hollywood feels like, even myself, being like, it's not tangible. What is the pipeline? How do I get in? So I was very, very, very fortunate to kind of sneak in at a young age and kind of earn my stripes that way.
Hey, Mando here. Right now, you can have everything you want on the network you really want. Introducing my plan. Get exactly what you want, only pay for what you need. Starting at just $30 per line per month for 4 unlimited lines with autopay plus taxes and fees. From there, you decide exactly what goes in and what stays out of your plan. So you pay for what you want. Head over to Verizon.com/Mando right now.
You said Verizon.com/Mando, right?
Yeah, Verizon.com/Mando, but we're still shooting the commercial.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. Get exactly what you want, only pay for what you need, starting at $30 per line. All right, let me help you out. All right, so you go here.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about what you're doing now, you think?
My favorite thing about what I'm doing right now, is getting to be a sponge, being that, like, kind of back to the imposter syndrome, like with Blue Beetle, seeing my name above Susan Sarandon or George Lopez, I'm like, that's wrong. But really what it was an opportunity to learn from these greats and these people that I stand on the shoulders of. That really is the most exciting part, is getting to meet people like yourselves, getting to meet people like everyone in this room, and just get to never would I have imagined as a kid that I would be able to sit in certain rooms or be heard, and I think that's one of my favorite parts. Yeah, meeting new people.
What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned so far in the last couple of years, or even this year?
The biggest lesson I've learned this year, I think, as I start to become a little bit more independent and start navigating life on my own and start to have triumphs and failures and whatnot, I think I've learned that nobody rides for you like your fam, and it's not something to growing up. I don't know if it's my culture, my whatever you want to call it, but I always thought as soon as I turned 18, all right, you're out of the house and it's time to learn everything on your own. But even though I turned 18 and all of this stuff, I still had that support group, and now especially more than ever, I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned, is that it's family isn't something you should be embarrassed of, and that it's super important to actually keep these relationships, especially because a lot of the stuff is illusory and a lot of it is not sometimes it just feels like a hack, like I'm cheating at life, and the family is really there to help ensure that my 10 toes stay on the ground. And it's not hard. It's not like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to stay grounded, like my dog still craps every day. So it's not a reach, but it's definitely something that, as I've noticed other people brush shoulders with other people my age and even older otherwise, I've noticed oh, okay, I actually am very fortunate to have a family that I like and that I love and that, love.
Yeah, and it seems like, being in growing up in a Latino household, traditional, I'm assuming traditional Latino household.
I mean, what is traditional? I grew up Latino, and I grew up eating Mexican food for dinner and not calling it Mexican food. Right. It felt super natural and
So what I was saying is you grow up in a Latino, Mexican household, and you actually have, you come from different cultures too, right? You're not just...
So born and raised in LA. My mom is Mexicana. Her parents came from Mexico. She's from Vegas. I have 2 pops. I'm blessed with 2 pops. So I got one from Cuba and Ecuador, one from Mexico as well. But growing up, it was really with my mom and my pops, and they were Mexicanos. So I think.
And you grew up in LA.
Yeah, and I grew up in LA. So I feel like blood-wise, if you want to check the 23andMe, I'm sure it'll say one thing, but I definitely, it's been an interesting, like you're saying, growing up in LA, sometimes you do feel, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I definitely, growing up, there were moments where I was like, am I Latino? Am I Mexican? Enough? There were times where I would go to Mexico and not feel like I fit in or like I belonged, and honestly, getting to do Blue Beetle and getting to meet so many Latinos who are proud of what is happening has really helped kind of in a weird way, not even in a weird way, but helped me even like believe, I suppose, in a weird way, like, you know, growing up speaking some English, some Spanish, you know, Spanish was my first language. And then now kind of getting back into it and whatnot. It's been such a pleasure not to feel embarrassed or whatnot.
Yeah. You sort of grow up with like a dual identity, right? Like, or the tool, they say the 200%, right? Like, 100%.
Well, that's, dude, yeah, that's crazy that you say that. I just heard someone say that recently. Like I honestly, like, now I feel like the 200%.
Yeah.
You know, now that I've heard that more often, it's helped me realize I am 200%.
Yep.
But honestly, for a good bit, it felt like 50-50.
Right.
Like, and I think, it's now I can't even go back to what it would feel like if I was 50-50, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's so much more. What I've realized also as I've gotten older is that it's not, I think once, you know, Spanish was the first language, I started speaking English, and then I was always so embarrassed of not knowing Spanish. And then as I started to learn again and kind of get over the embarrassment of like, I don't know what to say, or I don't know what, but I realize now that there's people that speak Nahuatl, and there's people that speak Portuguese, and there's people that are deaf, and there's all of the I think the biggest hurdle for me was the Spanish thing. And now that I realize, you know, there's more than that, now I'm like, oh, let's start learning. Yeah.
By the way, the first person that I heard say that she was 200% was Becky G.
Dude, me too.
She said
Thank
it
you,
here.
Becky G. Yeah.
She said it here on the show.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I heard say it too. So shout out Becky G. Yeah. You're making Latinos feel seen since whenever, you know. But yeah, no, she was the one that said it first, and she said it in front of me, and literally in that moment, I was like, oh snap, like that's right. Yeah.
Really. So for those that don't know, the 200%, just to break that down real quick, 100% American and 100% Latino.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to like 50-50, which I love that. It's a beautiful way to embrace that. Now, speaking of Becky G, she's a castmate.
Yeah.
On Blue Beetle.
On Blue Beetle. Yeah.
So tell me about everything about Blue Beetle, man.
Oh man, we'll be here for the next 3 years. So Blue Beetle, a lot of people are going to be meeting him for the first time, but he's been around for a while. It's Jaime Reyes, the Blue Beetle that I play, is the third to kind of take on the role of Blue Beetle. He had two predecessors, and you know, really the core of this movie and a lot of the comics, going back and reading, you know, the comics and watching the TV shows and stuff like that, the at the center of Jaime's story is his family. And I think I had not a lot of reservations, but as an actor, I never really saw myself in a superhero role. And I think most actors feel this way. Like, it's not, until you're a superhero, there's no way I could, you know? But this story felt so grounded from its inception, and I'm so appreciative that Angel Manuel Soto, our director, and Garrett Donald Alcocer, our writer, it couldn't help but feel authentic from the very first day, because they needed to tell this story, and they knew the story. You know, whether it was their story or their ancestors, like, all of us, this movie has been the process of hundreds of years of generations and hundreds of years of self-actualization, and it's not the end also. And it's not like, and it's kind of interesting nowadays, because as it's kind of coming out, people are saying like, it's the Latino thing or the Latino this, and it's kind of like, no, the genre is superhero.
Yeah.
And the characters happen to be Latino. And it's such a blessing to, you know, have multiple Latinos on screen, so that, you know, one character doesn't have to just be the lens into this whole new world, right? Like, there's being Latino, being anything isn't a monolith. And what we were trying to do with this movie is show these character stories. And I hope, you know, if anything comes from this, it's that it opens the door for other people to be allowed to tell the stories that they feel they need to tell.
Yeah. Is there a part of you or a moment while you're shooting that you wanted to make sure that the story was told a certain way, or you said, no, I want it this way, or I think it should be this way? Or
honestly, never. Like, they're reading the script. I was honestly blown away at how it felt like my family, and how, you know, when George Lopez would read it, he was like, I understood this. And when my own family read the script, they were like, how did they do this? How did they bring all of our families onto the screen? I wish I had some like, oh, they fucked up with this one, or they used Google Translate or something like that. But even like the set deck team, costumers, you know, everyone, you know, the majority of the cast and crew was Latino. So it couldn't help but feel like, even if you were decorating the house or doing Foley or whatever it is, you know, there are certain things that you just know that come inherent.
It just felt right from the
get-go, yeah.
Now, I hear the line, the first Latino superhero to headline a film. What does that mean to you?
For me, it means the opportunity for kids to see themselves on screen. That is, you know, the biggest joy in my heart is, you know, growing up, and I'm sure like we kind of all feel this way. There were a few, right? El Chapulín Colorado, like there were a few here and there, but to finally have someone that kids can look at and say, hey, this kind of reminds me of and I did have that, but they weren't Latino, right? Like I loved Will Smith and Men in Black, but you know, so like that's what it means to me, and hopefully, you know, to realize that it's not a Latino superhero, right?
Yeah.
That's also what I hope that people kind of slowly start saying. I think it's happening, and I think it's not like I definitely am an optimist and appreciative to be doing work at this time right now, and it's not lost on me that this is a crazy once in a lifetime opportunity, but it can't be the end.
For sure.
So yeah, that's what I make of it.
Yeah, I mean, we all watch movies that are superhero films and stories, and we're now like, oh, the first, you know, white, or the fifth white superhero.
Right. It's like, nobody. Yeah, that's the thing, and I think, and we're gonna get there for sure. We're gonna get there, and I think this is, you know,
it's part of the journey. It's part of the story, of course, for sure. Yeah. And it's so cool for you to be that guy, that person, dude. That's waving that flag.
It's such an honor, and I can't wait for the movie to come out, and I can't wait for people to see it. And you know, my favorite part is, even though the movie's Blue Beetle, like the hero is really the family, and it's an ensemble, and like you guys are gonna see, everyone has their moment, and I think it reminds me of my own family, because, you know, often like my biggest superhero is my parents, and they're better than superheroes because they actually exist, and they're real, and they're there. And I think that we were able to capture that and put it on the big screen.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You got to send that clip to your parents.
They've seen the movie. Yeah,
I'm saying what you just said right now. You got to send that to them.
No. My mom would roll her eyes. She'd be like, "Just hey, stop it. What do you want to ask me something, right? You need a favor or something? What do you? Yeah.
¿Qué necesitas? ¿Qué quieres? I think that's awesome, dude. That you're big on family, and it seems like this film is also big on family. And then, you know, the cast is awesome in this film. What can you tell me, a memory while you were shooting with like George and everyone, Susan?
So
by the way, look at me referring to people in first name terms over here.
Yeah, Susie Sarandon.
George and Susan.
Yeah. Me and GL. So I remember the day before Susan Sarandon showed on set, I was talking with Angel, and we were kind of freaking out. Like, how do you give Susan Sarandon directions? Like, you don't direct her. Like, she just does it however she does it, and then you just say, well, all right, well, let's move on to the next scene. So one of the most endearing moments was, I just remember us sitting like at dinner before, like, what is she gonna be like? Is she gonna be nice? Is she gonna be mean? Is she gonna be crazy? But you know, sure enough, the next day came around, and Susan Sarandon was the most wonderful person to work with, and really everyone came through and understood everyone understood their part, and yeah, and she takes direction, so that was great as well. Yeah, but there were so many funny moments. We got to film half the film in Atlanta, half the film in Puerto Rico, where Angel is from, which meant that we were always at the beach. And I remember there was this one particular time where I was in one of our castmates' hotel room. We were all like, we'd all just come back from the beach, and I was in my swim trunks singing Usher's "Yeah."
Okay.
Right? And if you don't know that song,
literally,
it starts off with like "Peace up, A-Town," boop, boop. And I had my shorts on, basically naked, and I'm walking out of the hotel room into the hallway, and I'm like going crazy, you know, and all of a sudden I look over and there's a dude waiting for the elevator, and he's like, my character on the show, Cobra Kai, his name's Miguel, and he goes, "It's not a bad song, Miguel. It's a pretty good one." And I've never been more embarrassed in my life but that's me. I'm always, Usher, he's my spirit animal.
You can't go wrong with Usher.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a classic. Have you seen Usher's Vegas show
I've
yet?
seen it. I've seen it. What do you think about it?
I haven't seen that show. I've seen him in concert before, and he was awesome.
I mean, that's what you expect, right? Like you want to be serenaded. Everyone wants to go to an Usher show to be serenaded.
He makes grown men.
Yeah.
What is it? Blush.
Okay, there you go. I was like, how far is he gonna make the grown man? No, he's a star. That's why I started my music career. No, I'm just kidding.
It was a song. It was Lil Jon's. That was like, you know what? There's something that I got to do
connect with this. He's speaking to me.
Talk to me about your music, dude. You're sort of, as we said, you're a creative. So you're making that transition also into music. I know we were talking about rapping earlier.
Yeah.
You love to sing, I'm sure too.
Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, the music really started with while filming Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to make an EP from the perspective of the character. I was like, I was filming and I was listening to a lot of music. Angel, the director, was giving me a lot of like thematic music that he's like, this is the feel of the movie. And I was like, shoot, there's something so vibrant about music, and it's been apparent in my whole life. My mom comes from the music industry. So it felt like I was always just one step away from getting into it. But it started off, we did one song and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And slowly but surely it started to roll in, and now I'm just trying to cook up an EP or something, trying to bring something together. But I have to be honest, it's more of a personal passion project. I'm not trying to take over the world. I'm not trying to do the Drake transition. I'm not saying,
if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, I suppose if it happens, it happens. But really, it was just I wanted to celebrate a culture that helped raise me and be a part in any way that I could. And it's definitely recently it's been easier as I've seen other artists kind of put on their more unique flares to what it means to be an artist. And I just hope that. Yeah, I don't even know what I hope. I'm having fun.
You can tell that it's a passion of yours. You can see it like whenever I see you talk about your music or put music out or even post about it. It's from the heart. You can tell.
Yeah.
It's not something that like, hey, I was paid to do this.
Nah, cause look, cause when it happens like that and people don't fuck with it, then it hurts even worse. Cause then you're like, I didn't even really enjoy it that much to begin with, and these people didn't mess with it either.
Yeah.
So even in my own life, I've been really fortunate to truly love everything that I've had the opportunity to do, and especially with like, my own podcast or the music, the stuff that comes from the heart or that comes, not, from someone else. I have to make sure that it's both authentic and that I like it, because I want to enjoy the stuff that I put out. Yeah. So was it Blue Beetle that kind of, pushed you into creating music and putting music out? Yeah. No, yeah. I was telling you off camera, before that, I was too nervous that my voice was like nasally and high. I was like, when is it gonna, the doctor said by 21, I should be fully grown. But once I started, trying to compile this concept album, I had the bug. Then I was like, okay, now I want to start writing from my own experiences and write, that whole thing.
Where are your like inspos coming from? Like who would you say maybe like top 5 greatest inspirations when it comes to music?
So the people that I drew inspiration from were definitely the people that were being played around the house. Mos Def, Tribe Called Quest, a lot of the 90s, East Coast stuff. But nowadays, I'm listening to everything, dude. It's not even just hip hop, and that's what I've really enjoyed about kind of where the music scene, even in hip hop, is heading. Where it feels like it's not just, you don't have to just do, 32 bars, hardcore, crooked ones. Like you can hit the hook and do something totally wacky, and I think that really helped expand my music taste and see like, oh shoot, there's other people outside of the rap that I really enjoy. For me right now, who am I listening to? And and because of that, my top 5 isn't necessarily just hip hop right now, but I really love Remy Wolf. She's killing it. I love her instrumentation. Chance, as I was saying earlier, I think was my entry into like a different kind of hip hop.
Yeah.
I grew up, as I mentioned, listening to kind of like the 90s, Left My Wallet and El Segundo type kind of, because that was, my mom was like, oh, she grew up in the hip hop industry, and she was like, some of these guys are being foul with their words,
right.
but Tribe, these guys are cool. They're kind. So, nowadays, Chance, I really love. Kendrick, of course, is one of the greats. Mos Def, 50 Cent. I like 50 Cent, The Game, but I listen to it all.
Eminem.
Yeah, I like Eminem.
When I heard your going back to that Sway freestyle, I was like, oh, kind of like M vibes.
Yeah. I do love Eminem. I think I'm honestly I'm the wrong person to, like, I can't, once you're a creative, I find it hard to trash other people's work or say I'm not into it, because I know what it means to make something personally, and I'm not like, there's something so intimate about, especially music, when it does come from yourself.
And you grab from so many different places.
But yeah, of course. I mean, I've watched so many freestyles, so many like of these greats and kind of their transitions and how they've grown over the years. Joey Badass, I'm a big fan of, like his stuff. But
Joey's a good dude.
I'm really right now, what I'm really into is the drill scene. I like what Dave and the boys overseas are doing.
Nice.
I like their stuff. Yeah.
Would you ever make a jump into like Spanish, reggaeton, or something like that?
I think. Yeah, look, I have to be honest. I would love to do it all.
Yeah.
And the same goes for acting. I think I want to be a chameleon, and I think I think it's only a matter of time. I have a joint in English and Spanish right now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Recorded?
What?
Recorded?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I got a vault. Right?
Okay.
I'm ready. I just can't. I gotta be intentional about it too.
Right. You gotta plan it out.
Yeah, when you're recording, I'm like, this is awesome,
and you want to put it out right away, right?
It's like, you gotta. There has to be intentional. Yeah.
Right. You gotta plan it out. You gotta roll it out the right way.
Not even for like the promotional stuff, but it's just like as soon as you put something out, it's like it's in the past. It's a reflection of thoughts that I had. It's so I just want to make sure that that it's accurate to what I feel, and I think that's also why I've kept my name. I'm not doing any alias or anything to that effect, because I think it helps keep me in check and like, I truly believe this. Like this is this is what I'm saying.
Is there a song that you think would catch people off guard that you're listening to right now?
Right now, my most played song of the year so far is Love Stained by Hope Taia.
Nice.
I believe that's how you pronounce her name. It's a really melodic beat. It's like it's a real it's a soft joint, but I love it. I play it every single day.
I love that. I've heard that song. It's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, I'd say, yeah, considering my music taste, that one might be a little bit surprising. Getting to work with like all the people on the cast, I've been listening to a lot more like reggaeton, like you're saying, even like Brazilian music all around. So yeah.
Afro beats are a vibe too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I love that. So you and I have something in common. Two things.
Okay.
Both of us are heartthrobs.
Okay. okay.
And both of us are. I couldn't keep a straight face, bro. And both of us are LAFC fans.
Ah, nice. Yeah. I love LAFC.
I've seen you there a few times.
Yeah. The energy there is unmatched. It's my favorite stadium.
Yeah, dude. What can you tell me about, being at that stadium? So I host and DJ for the stadium for LAFC matches, dude. So I peeked through the window. I'm like, oh, who's over there hanging out with Rich?
Yeah.
It's Xolo's there. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm there with Rich, but we got season ticks. Me and my fam, we go all the time. So I love kicking it with Rich. I mean, there's nothing like being on the floor. I feel like such a fraud being up there. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here with Justin Bieber. What the heck is that? But what I will say about LAFC, man, is that like it really feels like Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And the 3252, it really feels like a family. And there's nothing like it. I feel like the acoustics in that place are made for. It feels like the ground is vibrating. It's if you haven't experienced an LAFC game, I definitely would implore you to go do it because it's a fun time.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really know a ton about soccer before LAFC. I have to be honest. My mom was definitely the one who knew a bit more about soccer. I don't want to come through and be like, don't ask me about names or but
where did Carlos Vela start his career?
Right, yeah. But I since LAFC has kind of come through, it really has felt like a Los Angeles team.
Yeah.
Even though they've had a team, for some reason I just didn't connect, I suppose.
That's awesome.
Dodgers, though, that's the one that I grew up watching all the time. Definitely, I grew up a baseball kid.
I love that, man. What does growing up in Los Angeles mean to you? What do you think it injected into who you are today?
That's a good question. I think LA is a great melting pot. I think it really helped, and I don't know if that's just the people that I grew up around, but I really was so fortunate from the earliest of my life that inclusivity and that like making sure, whether it was on purpose or just by coincidence, that our rooms were filled with a lot of different people. Like that was something I think that is kind of synonymous with Los Angeles. You can't walk down the street and help but see a mixture of tons of different cultures and even and it's just I think that's one thing. And then the thing that I think was kind of interesting growing up in Los Angeles, like I mentioned earlier, is that growing up, there was nobody in school saying like, this is how you get into the industry, or if you're interested in Hollywood, this is how you can do it. And I think that was the thing that I'm so blessed to have lived in Los Angeles, because if I didn't, it would be even more impossible to be like, oh shoot, okay, first I got to get to LA, but now with COVID, things are a little bit different, and I'm actually like, I think I don't want to say for the better, because I do love doing in-person auditions, but now you can self-tape from anywhere, and I think that it really is going to start, like, we're going to start finding so many new people and people who are fantastic from everywhere, and yeah.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you, man. I just briefly want to, before I let you go, I want to touch on the Lone Lobos podcast.
Yeah. My pod with my brother, Jacob Scott Thomas Bertrand.
Yeah, tell me about that, dude.
Yeah. So that came about because we got approached to do this video game podcast, and we were like, we don't really know a lot about video games. Like, I guess we could do one episode, but people didn't really know who we were. They saw us on Cobra Kai, and we wanted to just shoot the and it's been a really fun ride. It's been it is consistently the most intimate project that I do, because it is coming from our brains, and whatever we're talking about that episode is like, there's no writers to throw under the bus and say like, that wasn't us, or no, like it's kind of definitely a passion project. And also I love it as like an archive as well. It helps. It's been such a great journey, even the 2 years that we've been doing it, seeing our growth and seeing us unpack, like we just, the other episode, we're talking about capitalism, like trying to give our best definition to capitalism that we could, or like these random things that I feel like a lot of people, I'm 22, I feel like a lot of people my age are kind of, whether it's, trying to become an adult or trying to, go through adolescence or learn about spirituality and these, like, a lot of different things. It's been really wonderful having a platform that kind of implores conversation and that is helping. We're not reinventing the wheel. It's not like we're doing really, we're doing great. I love what we do.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's
the
you.
most fun, yeah.
I mean, then the next.
And that's the thing. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that people understood our essence without knowing, like, my grandma's name. Like, we didn't want it to be like, you will learn everything about us. It's more so like, here's how we feel about certain topics, and then you can kind of gather who we are based on that.
From capitalism
to
reciting
Zoe Kravitz. Yeah.
Reciting Nicki Minaj monster lyrics.
Yeah. I'm a barb at heart, so I'll throw down any Nicki verse. Yeah.
That was,
yeah, that was a fun joint. I remember Jacob's. He likes rock music. He's into classic rock, and I'm into hip hop and jazz. And I told him before the episode, I was like, Jacob, you have to learn just this last part, right? And of course, sure enough, like we get to his bars, and he's like reading the lyrics like. But no, it's always a fun time.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, dude. So before I let you go,
okay,
we have rapid fire.
Let's do it
with Xolo Maridueña.
Okay, rapid fire.
Good luck. Favorite food dish?
Chilaquiles.
Best song to play at a party?
Dreams and Nightmares.
Greatest rapper of all time?
Oh man, I can't believe you just did that. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get flamed. My favorite rapper, I don't know if he's the best. My favorite rapper is Kendrick Lamar.
I love that. Best singer of all time?
My brain just said Adele.
Adele, yeah. Can't go wrong with Adele.
I don't know, yeah, I can't.
What's a nickname of yours that we don't really know about?
Crunchy, any like kind of version of that. I don't know how it came about. I couldn't tell you, but it's just been my nickname for as long as I can remember.
Crunchy.
In high school, yeah, it was Xolito Crunchy. Yeah.
Xolito Crunchy.
Yeah, Xolito Crunchy. I don't know. I asked my mom, and she's like, honestly, I don't know. I don't know where it came about. So, yeah, I couldn't give you any more context. I wish I could, but yeah, that's one that I don't think. But don't start calling me that on the street. That's the one thing I'm gonna turn on mom. No.
Well, Xolito Crunchy.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming to Mando Friends, dude.
Hey,
Appreciate
thank you so much for having me, bro. I appreciate it. This has been a blast. And please, yeah, we'd love to have you on the pod, bro. Seriously.
Let's do it. I'm here. Xolo Maridueña, thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching and listening to Mando and Friends presented by Verizon.